What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Rant Roller Sports. Um, I was struggling earlier to figure out what I wanted to come live with today because, like I told you guys in the past, I don't just want to come live just to come in and speak without having anything really to say. But I went back to my trusty notebook and I remembered that I was going to go run through the gamut of every position. I already put out a video of top 5 shooting guards. Top 5 point guards, excuse me. And that video is already on the channel. I was going to go through every position: shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center. And I did do a top 5 all center. So I started I kind of went from one end to the other. And now I have 3 positions left. And today's live is going to be about the top 5 shooting guards. From my perspective, I want you guys to chime in as well, of course. I want you guys to like, share, and subscribe. Even if you don't share, even if I'm a guilty pleasure of yours and you just watch this crazy dude on YouTube in the corner at your job or, in the bathroom, you don't want your wife to hear what this crazy guy's talking about. That's cool. You don't have to share it, but please put a like on it. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. There won't be notifications going off all day long on you like some channels where, I know that can be annoying. Every time you look around, it's a notification. You get tired of them. And if you subscribe to a bunch of channels, you're going to get a bunch of notifications, right? So I want to thank everyone who's tuning in, everyone who's going to tune in, and everyone who's going to replay this live and dissect it. And I want to thank everybody who's going to chime in the comment section because I actually need some help with this video. I'm not going to I'm very knowledgeable about sports, but I'm not going to get on here and claim that I know every damn thing or I have everything definitively, set in my mind in regard to different topics. So quickly, I'm going to rattle off what I'm going to speak about today. I'm going to speak about who I believe should be considered the top 5 shooting guards in basketball history. I'm going to speak about the young up-and-coming superstar John Morant from the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm going to speak about the ageless, great future Hall of Fame quarterback Tom Brady for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to speak about, and with that thumbnail, which you're going to see the picture as, I'm going to speak on the Lingerie League, the Women's Football League. And is it relevant? Is it real football? Is it a sideshow? We're going to get into it. Is it misogynist or sexist? We're going to get into it. What else did I have? I didn't plan on doing a super long live today, guys, just because they got me. I had to take it. So if you see me, I did it today somewhere early this afternoon around 1:30. So if you see me pass out during this live or drop dead during this live, you're going to know why. You're going to know where to point the finger, Pfizer. But if you watch my channel, especially if you watch my other channel, Rant Social, I speak at length about my issue with that, with my whole issue about the whole damn coronavirus, where it came from, my feelings about it. I didn't go too far in depth because YouTube really doesn't allow free speech nowadays. It's really controlled. If you speak out about this or against this, they'll hit you with a medical misinformation claim and they'll pull the video. That's what they did to me. But meanwhile, you have girls twerking online, doing all kind of nonsense. You have all kind of ratchet silliness going on YouTube. You have violence. Guys talking about pimping and hoeing. All of these horrible ass ghetto gangster rap videos all they doing is talking about selling drugs all day long. But as soon as you say something about this, your video's pulled. Very, very interesting, YouTube. But this is a sports channel. I talk about that other stuff on my other channel, Rant Social. You can check it out. It's based on the quote-unquote African-American experience for the most part, but it's a universal channel. You can go on there and find content like that I have on there, like TikTok, young escorts in training. And I might even, as a bonus, show that video here on this channel just to give you a glimpse of what I do over at Rant Social. But I had to break this channel up because when I first started it back in December, I didn't have my motorcycle then. I didn't have the e-bike then. I was building bikes. I had a BMX I built, and I had a Cannondale mountain bike that I was doing videos on, plus basketball videos. I was ranting about social topics on the channel. I had music stuff on the channel. And then as I got into the YouTube research, you know, all the quote-unquote YouTube experts feel you should be in a niche. You can't be all over the place because it'll throw off the algorithm and you won't get as many views. Your videos won't be seen as much to get the views, to have you click on the video. So thus, this has become a sports channel where I do motorcycle vlogs, bicycle vlogs, and sports. I cover about 6 major sports at the very least: football, baseball, basketball, soccer, boxing, and MMA. And I might even cover like motorcycle racing on this channel as well. I think I have at least one motorcycle racing video talking about these guys racing bagger bikes. If you're not familiar with bagger bikes, those are those big Harley Davidson. You see those old guys riding down the road with their woman on the back. They got the bags and the big windscreen. Well, they actually broke those bikes down and started racing them. So I have a video about that on the channel. So let's get right into it. All right. I don't know how long I'm going to talk this live. I don't know what the thing is going to do to me, how it's going to affect my fatigue level or whatever. But right now I'm okay. So we're going to roll. All right. I'm take a sip of something because people advise me to drink water, a lot of water with this shot. And they said it would really hit me the next day. So excuse me. Some homemade iced tea. All right. Okay, when I first thought about making a video for the top 5 shooting guards of all time, I thought it would be fairly easy because we all know who's number 1. Without a doubt, without a question, it's like Skip Bayless would say, Michael, Jeffrey, Jordan. Okay, and I will show some highlights of some of these different players, but not the obvious ones. I'm not going to show you no Michael Jordan highlights. If you've never seen any Michael Jordan highlights, then you just haven't watched basketball, or maybe you're checking in and you're 9 years old. But you guys can, if you haven't seen any Michael Jordan, I don't want to bore my viewers that are knowledgeable with another Michael Jordan video or another Kobe Bryant video. So I will show some videos of some different guys that I compiled on this list. And once again, I want this really to be an interactive video, even if you don't come in on the live, come in after, go in the comment section and help me out with this list. This is one of the videos where I really don't have a definitive list because once I started compiling names, I said, holy smokes. The 2-guard category, the shooting guard category is very deep. It's deeper than I first suspected. I thought I was going to have more of an issue with the point guard position. But I pretty much came to a quick conclusion in my top 5 point guard list. And I reserve the right to change it because, you know, there's certain guys I compiled on the list that are still playing, right? So let me read off to you my short list of guys I compiled for this video. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, Tracy McGrady, Clyde Drexler, Allen Iverson, Reggie Miller, Vince Carter, Mitch Richman, Pistol Pete Maravich, James Harden, Sam Jones, Klay Thompson, David Thompson, John Havlicek, George Gervin, Joe Johnson, Ray Allen, Manu Ginobili, Rip Hamilton, Paul George, Drazen Petrovic, Ron Harper, Reggie Lewis, and Joe Dumas. If there's anybody you feel that I left off of this list, go in the comment section and put them in there. Okay. There's certain point guards that play like shooting guards, but just for the sake of simplicity, I wouldn't include those guys like a Damian Lillard, a Russell Westbrook, a Derrick Rose in his prime. Those guys were point guards, but they basically played like shooting guards that masqueraded as point guards. All right. So once again, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, T-Mac, Clyde Drexler, Allen Iverson, Reggie Miller, Vince Carter, Mitch Richman, Clyde Drexler, Pistol Pete Maravich. Oh, I already said Drexler, excuse me. James Harden, Sam Jones, Klay Thompson, David Thompson, John Havlicek, George Gervin, Joe Johnson, Ray Allen, Manu Ginobili, Paul George, Drazen Petrovic, Ron Harper, Reggie Lewis, and Joe Dumas. And this is just names. These are about 24 names that I just rattled off. This shooting guard position is very deep historically, way deeper than I originally thought. Because once I got past my top three of Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Dwayne Wade, that's my top three at that position. After that, it was very tough. My man Tariq is a diehard Clyde Drexler fan, and I know he's going to tune in and watch this live very closely to see where I put Clyde Drexler on the list. And I got the utmost respect for Clyde. Clyde the Glide was no joke. No joke. He had a long, productive, illustrious career. He's an NBA champion. I believe he won a championship at the University of Houston with Akeem Olajuwon, but you guys can correct me in the comment section. I'm not 100% positive on that. And Clyde Drexler had the misfortune of playing in the Michael Jordan era, where they were both around the same age. Michael Jordan was in the East. Clyde Drexler was in the West. And for many, many years, they were considered 1 and 2 as the best shooting guards in the league, followed by, I would say, Mitch Richman and Joe Dumas of that time. Speaking of that era, right? There's guys on this list that died tragically early, like Drazen Petrovic. We never got to see his full career, especially since a lot of his good years were over in Europe before he even came over to the NBA. He was terrorizing Europe, talking about Drazen Petrovic. Then you have the great Reggie Lewis of the Boston Celtics fame, who had a heart issue. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but I know he passed away very prematurely. I don't even know if Reggie Lewis was 30 years old when he died. And he was one of the great talents I had ever seen at the shooting guard position. 6'7", immaculate jump shooter, 3-point range, post up, knockdown free throw shooter. And he was another guy that would put the fear in you, man. He get the ball, Reggie might come down and make 10, 11 jump shots in a row, especially in the fourth quarter. You have some guys on this list that are very underrated, like Joe Johnson. ISO Joe was big time in the fourth quarter. During his prime, he was on that Atlanta Hawk team that just couldn't get over the hump, namely because they had to run into LeBron James every year. And Joe Johnson got moved around early in his career. He started with Boston. He went to Phoenix, played with the Suns, and eventually settled in Atlanta with the Hawks, where he played pretty much his best basketball. Then when he got shipped over to the Brooklyn Nets, he played well there too, along with Paul Pierce, I believe, was on that team, and Kevin Garnett. But they were all past their prime at that point, so they really didn't have that big of an impact. Then there's guys that Manu Ginobili is much like Kevin Mchale. He had to tone down his game to fit a system and to play with other star players. And he also spent a lot of his career coming off the bench. I'm speaking of Manu Ginobili in comparison to Kevin Mchale. And Kevin Mchale is a power forward, of course, and I only brought up Mchale because to me, Kevin Mchale and Manu Ginobili's career are very similar. They both could have went somewhere else, put up big numbers, and we'd be thinking about them differently. But they both chose to stay with their respective teams, take a reduced role in order to win championships. And that's to be commended as well. You got guys like John Havlicek that thrived in the 60s and 70s, won 8 championships. Havlicek's pedigree is undeniable. How would he have been good in the 80s and 90s? I'm sure. David Thompson was Michael Jordan's idol. He was like a 6'4", 6'5" high flyer, very skilled at basketball, but he had a drug issue, and that cut his career short. But David Thompson is the guy that Michael Jordan looked up to and patterned his game after, not Dr. J. You have guys like Tracy McGrady, whose career we really didn't get to see blossom fully, once again because of injury. He started getting hurt in Orlando, and then when he got to Houston, the injuries really started to pile up. And that team had bad luck because at the same time, the injuries started to hit the great center from China, Yao Ming. And they both were injured, swapped in and out, injured, hurt, and that Houston Rocket team never got to, coached by Jeff Van Gundy, never got to blossom due to injury. You have the very underrated Mitch Richman of the famed TMC, Tim Hardaway, Mitch Richman, and Chris Mullin. They called them Run TMC after the rap group Run DMC. And that was I could say that team, of any team in the 90s, could come in and plug into today and fit right in and be a top contender because they were running that style that they play today. Then in the 90s, it was called Nelly ball. Nelly brung small ball to the NBA. Well, he emphasized small ball. I'm not going to say he was the first person to do it, but Nelly ball was considered a joke because they said no way that they can run up and down and score all them points in the playoffs once they go up against these bigs and defensive teams. And for the most part, that was true. Because they really never had an accomplished big to go along with Mitch Richman, Chris Mullin, and Tim Hardaway. They were the point guard, shooting guard, and small forward, respectively. Reggie Miller, big-time trash talker, big-time shot maker, lit Madison Square Garden on fire, famously argued with Spike Lee, who's basically the Knicks mascot, unpaid mascot. Reggie Miller had one of the most incredible sequences I've ever seen, where I think he rattled off 7 points in a matter of 20-something seconds. Or it was less than 20 seconds. He kept stealing the ball and jumping behind the three-point line and hitting dagger after dagger. Reggie Miller, to his credit, also played his entire career with the Indiana Pacers. You have to be great in order to play your entire career with one team. There's just no other way around it. Most guys either take a bigger bag of money and move on somewhere else, or the team you currently are with decide that your services are no longer needed, that you've maybe lost a step, or you're not the same player, or they can find a better player. Once again, it's very difficult, especially for a guy to play 15 plus years, to play it with the same team. That's the great Reggie Miller. His pedigree in basketball is serious because his sister Cheryl Miller was the first female that they considered to be drafted into the NBA with men. That's how dominant his sister Cheryl was in women's college basketball. You have the high flyer Vince Carter, Vinsanity, right? Drafted by the Toronto Raptors. At one point, him and Kobe Bryant were neck and neck like this. People were deciding who was going to be the better player. Kobe wasn't clear cut the best player of his generation right away, because you had Tracy McGrady there at the same time. You had Grant Hill. So there were a number of young guys coming up looking to carry that mantle that Michael Jordan left behind. It wasn't just thrusted onto Kobe automatically. And Vince Carter was one of those players that before his knee injury, I would argue that he might have been the most explosive shooting guard in history, even more explosive than Michael Jordan, because of his outstanding leaping ability, his raw strength. He was an excellent jump shooter. He even had excellent three-point range. He was tough. He was ferocious. And he flat out put up buckets. He wasn't just a dunker. He was very skilled. The one knock might have been on Vince Carter is that he didn't play the defense that Kobe played, or that Dwayne Wade played, or that Michael Jordan played. Okay? Or Mitch Richman, or Joe Dumas, or even of a Clyde Drexler or Klay Thompson. So that's the knock, in my opinion, on Vince Carter, lack of defense. You have pound for pound, to me, the greatest player in NBA history, pound for pound now. This is just pound for pound. Allen Iverson. His career took off when Larry Brown got fed up. Coach Larry Brown got fed up with AI chucking up shots from the point guard position. He brought in Eric Snow, shipped Jerry Stackhouse. They made the decision that AI was better than Stackhouse, and they couldn't get along really on the court because both of them wanted the ball. Both of them wanted to jack up shots. AI was just better. So they shipped Jerry Stackhouse out of town, and they brought in Eric Snow to run the point. Eric Snow, and that was a perfect pair for Iverson because Eric Snow didn't take shots. I think Eric Snow probably averaged somewhere around 10, 12 points a game. He really wasn't a shot taker or a shot maker, but he was very strong, a very, very good defender, a sound leader, and a very good decision maker. That was Eric Snow, who's kind of underrated in history because he doesn't have numbers or the championships, but he was a solid player. And he was very good for AI because he allowed AI to move over to the two guard and then run around all of these screens in the half court. That was a staple of Larry Brown's offense because he did the same thing when he went to the Pacers and Indiana and had Reggie Miller doing the same thing, running around a million screens, coming off the screens, catching and shooting to free him up. And that opened up AI's game because at that point, he didn't now have to take everybody off the dribble. Now he ran a lot of bigger players through screens, wore them out, and was able to catch and shoot or catch, pump fake, put the ball on the floor, so on and so forth. So that's AI. I'm very partial to AI because I actually played against him in high school and went to his rival high school in Virginia. And we're about the same age. And AI was just as good at football as he was in basketball. We have the great Pistol Pete Maravich, who I have a video on this channel about. I believe it was a video about his 60-point game or something like that. We have the great Klay Thompson. Now, Klay Thompson is very underrated because he had the misfortune of playing next to Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. But Klay Thompson has sacrificed his game year after year. If Klay Thompson went to a stinker team or up-and-coming team where he was allowed free reign to shoot the ball, Klay Thompson might average 27, 28, maybe even 30 points a game because he's that deadly of a shooter, especially when he gets hot. I believe Klay Thompson scored 40 points in a quarter before. It's just, that's just ridiculously talented a shooter. And the flip side of that is he's big, he's strong, he's 6'7". We're speaking about Klay Thompson. His father played on my Laker teams in the 80s. His father, Michael Thompson. And Klay doesn't get enough credit, obviously, because Steph Curry is the more spectacular player. He gets more highlights on SportsCenter, and he scores the ball more. And he's just much more of a flashier player than Klay. Klay is meat and potatoes, lunch pail, but very efficient, very deadly. He's won a 3-point contest. He beat his teammate Steph Curry to win that 3-point shootout at All-Star Weekend that year. Ray Allen, the great Ray Allen, drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks, famously won a championship in college with UConn, was a great college player, came to the pros and was a great pro player right from the start. Famously started, and He Got Game with Denzel Washington playing his father. He was pretty good in there. He was pretty good. It was overall a very good film. Ray Allen then went to the then Seattle Supersonics that turned into the OKC Thunder, where he was lighting up the scoring 25, 26 points a game with Seattle. And then from there, he got traded for and went to Boston. And that's where he really cemented his legacy, winning a championship and going to 2 finals, back-to-back finals with the Boston Celtics of Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. And then he left that team. They got mad with Ray Allen. He joined LeBron James, their Garnett and Paul Pierce's enemy, down in Miami, and won a championship with LeBron and the Miami Heat. And he contributed famously with a clutch late fourth quarter 3 off of a rebound where Chris Bosh threw the ball back to him in the corner and he hit a game-winning shot. Game-winning 3. You have James Harden, who's still in the league, still putting up numbers, still playing. One of the most dynamic offensive players in the history of the game. He used to play defense when he was with OKC, but when he went to Houston, he had the career that I just spoke of about Manu Ginobili, Kevin Mchale, and Klay Thompson sacrificing their game. But he only sacrificed it for a short time coming off the bench for OKC. They tried to lowball him money-wise. They gave more money to Serge Ibaka, and they lowballed Harden during negotiations. So he left, went to Houston, became his own man, and was never the same player again. He stopped playing defense and totally became a dominant offensive force. Great ball handler, great distributor, great passer, great shooter, great driver of the basketball, very durable, and he's one of the most unique. He's left-handed. He's one of the most unique players in NBA history, James Harden. Goes to the free throw line more than anyone else. Phenomenal player, but just he handles the ball and takes so many shots during the regular season. Has such a high usage rate that by the time he gets to the playoffs, he just looks worn down. And all of those minutes that he plays during the regular season, all those forays to the basket, getting fouled, falling down, taking step back 3, seems to catch up to him, where his percentages drop, his scoring drop, and of course he doesn't play defense in the regular season, so he doesn't play any in the postseason either. Joe Dumas, the very underrated Joe Dumas, the one guy that I remember that could slightly slow down Michael Jordan on defense by himself. Of course, he had the Pistons backing up and ready to smash Jordan anytime he came into the lane. But Joe D was a solid shooter, a great defender, an underrated passer and distributor. And he just played his role. He was a silent killer, a silent assassin. And Joe D was listed at 6'3", but probably was closer to 6'2", because him and Isaiah Thomas damn near looked the same size. And Isaiah Thomas listed at 6'1". They're one of the greatest backcourts in NBA history. Isaiah Thomas, and Joe Dumas, except Joe Dumas, much like Klay Thompson, is the underrated other half. Like I spoke about Ron Harper. Ron Harper was more of a scorer when he played with Cleveland, with the Cleveland Cavaliers. When he came to the Bulls, he had suffered knee injuries. He lost of explosiveness, but he was still a hell of a defender. And he actually played point guard, but didn't play point guard for that Bulls team that rattled off the second Bulls dynasty that rattled off the 3 straight from 96 to 98. Ron Harper was listed as the point guard. We all know Scottie Pippen was the point guard, but he was listed as the point guard, even though he was a shooting guard his entire career. But he was a major contributor to that 3-peat Bulls team, especially defensively, where the Bulls were just long and quick and had great lateral movement and just smothered teams defensively. And that's Ron Harper. Okay, I think that's it for my list here. I think I went through about everybody on the list. I want you guys, if anybody that I didn't mention, go in the comment section, bring them up. And I'm going to tell you, I'm undecided once I get past Dwayne Wade at number 3. I might even pencil in Clyde Drexler at number 4. Solid, but that 5th choice between AI, T-Mac, Reggie Miller, Vince Carter, Mitch Richman, Klay Thompson, Manu Ginobili, Ray Allen, that's when it starts to get tough, folks. That's when it starts to get tough, folks. So I actually need your help with this one. Even if you're not in agreement with my first 3 of MJ, Kobe, and D-Wade, or my first 4, MJ, Kobe, D-Wade, and Drexler, that 5th spot, I am really undecided. I want to go with AI because I'm partial to him, but I'm trying to be neutral. Okay? Damn that. You know what? Damn that. I'm going with AI in the 5th spot. So I got MJ, Kobe, D-Wade, Clyde Drexler, and Allen Iverson as my top 5 shooting guards. But I got that 5th spot tentatively, man. You know, I love my boy AI, but the competition is stiff. The competition is very stiff. You guys let me know how you feel in the comment section. All right, now let's go on to the next topic here. And this is where I will find a video. Since we're speaking about guards, I'm going back to the point guard position. And I want to speak about Ja Morant. I told anybody that would listen that Ja Morant should have been the number 1 pick over Zion Williamson. I just believe he's going to have a longer, more productive career, that he's not going to have as many injuries because he's a slim player that's highly explosive, but he's not carrying a lot of weight. He's light, long, and lean. All right. He hasn't had any injury issues to date. And he's one of the most explosive point guards to ever play the game already. And his jump shot is starting to develop. All right. So let me show you Ja Morant. And I misspelled his name on the title. It's not J-A-H. I'm thinking more of like Jamaican Ja. They have it here. Ja Morant. J-A. All right, so I found a video here. Ja Morant highlights. I'm just going to play a little bit of it so you guys know who I'm speaking about.
Morant. Oh, threw it in. It's a 3 for Ja Morant. I hated to see that for Kyle Lowry, but how about this shot put here by Morant?
I watched him come down and shred my Lakers the other night. This is what inspired me to make a video about Ja Morant. The question I pose to you guys, is Ja Morant the best young player in the game? Meaning, is he the best player under 25 years old or the best up-and-coming player? It's very close. You have Luka Doncic out there. You have Zion Williamson. You have the guy from in Minnesota, Edwards. You have LaMelo Ball. But this guy has really caught my attention. He's fearless. And I believe that this Grizzly team is due for a breakthrough out west. I don't know if it's going to be this year. It might be next year because they've had some injury issues with other young players. Hold on, folks.
What if Tony Robbins himself, a really special guest, could show you over 3 days, about 2.5?
Show you a little bit more John Morant. Now, we all can see he's a high flyer. He has a vertical of over 40 inches. And he's very long. He's got a long wingspan for his height. He's only listed at around 6'2". But he gets well above the rim very easily, as you can see here. He actually plays defense. He's a very good passer. And he actually was Zion Williamson's high school teammate. So they come from out of that same genetic stock down there in South Carolina. That's also where I happen to have family. I just wanted to show you who he was, because sometimes with highlights, they tend to show, you know, all the dunks, but they don't show the other nuanced things about him. So that's John Morant. Touch on him real quick. All right. Let's speak on the Women's Lingerie Football League, which the thumbnail is this video. I know you're probably wondering why. Is he speaking about shooting guards and he has a picture of a female football player in the thumbnail? Well, me and my friends debate about women in sports all the time. And for the most part, I feel that the women lack explosiveness. But this was not the case when I saw highlights. I never watched a full game of the Lingerie League, but when I did see highlights, they impressed the hell out of me with their ferociousness, just how hard they were playing, how hard they were hitting, and how seriously they took the game of American football, not to be confused with soccer. I'm going to play a little bit of it right here. This is the Lingerie Football League. Some people might think it's misogynist or sexist because of their attire. But if you look past what they're wearing, you will actually see real football taking place. And the eye candy doesn't hurt either. But they're really playing football. Of course, it's not going to compare to NFL or college men's football. But that doesn't mean that they weren't out here playing and playing hard. I believe this league was dismantled because a lot of feminist groups probably came after them. But this was legitimate football. Let me turn down that goofy music. I actually would like to see this continue. I don't need to see them in thongs. That's not necessary. You know they're going to wear tight clothes if they're playing football. So yes, this was to get men's attention and was successful. But now they had to have some substance behind it. You just couldn't have girls flailing around in thongs and goddamn, looking like they're wearing two-piece bikinis without any substance behind their sport. And they did have some stuff. You had these women out here really competing, really playing, and you got to understand, women don't play football in school coming up. So this is probably the first time a lot of these women ever played tackle football in their life. They were athletes from other sports. And they were asked to come in and learn the game of football and play. So this was highly impressive to me. This was highly impressive for women who obviously didn't grow up playing Pop Warner football or junior varsity or varsity high school or college football. They were pretty good here. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this lingerie football league, what you think about women playing football in general, American style football, not to be confused with the game of soccer, which is international football overseas. Look, they look like a real deal. Look at these helmets. You know. Oh, nice move there. Nice scramble. Let me know in the comment section if you really enjoyed them bringing something like this back, even if it's without the thongs. We don't need the thongs, right, guys? Putting attractive women on a football field is enough. We don't need their underwears going up there behind to enjoy their sport and enjoy their interpretation of American football. Once again, remember, most of these women never played football ever. Where could they? Where's the opportunity to play football at? So I just wanted to give you a taste of the lingerie league. You guys let me know in the comment section, would you support a women's football league for real? Not that that wasn't a real league, but you understand what I'm saying. You know, something with proper money, marketing, and push behind it, like the WNBA or even women's college basketball, or even for that matter, women's softball or women's college baseball. Let's see, moving on here. I'm going to speak on the great Tom Brady because once again, he's still going like the Energizer Bunny. This weekend, he recently became the first quarterback in NFL history to surpass 600 passing touchdowns. And I think he ended the game with 602. And he's still going. It's still a lot of season left. And I'm just going to show the Tampa Bay high. I'm not even going to New England. Here's the highlights from yesterday. I'm not even talking about New England. Tom Brady is amazing. But after I show some of his highlights, I'm going to get into something here.
USA only for the military community.
Pat O'Donnell is the returner. Slide over to the outside, goes over to 25. And here he goes. Look at him go, Jalen Gordon.
That's not Tom Brady. That's the kick returner. Look at that arm strength at age 45. Unreal.
12-yard line. Defense number 22. Defense that has some major holes to try to fill. Gary is holding at about the 25-yard line. They come down. Here's Fournette. Fournette's got a huge kick and takes it all the way down to the 3, just to the 2. first and goal. Drives across.
Tom Brady had 4 passing touchdowns yesterday. He's still killing the league. And there are a couple of reasons why, which I'll get into. I thought this was Tom Brady highlights, but it looks like it's the full game highlights. Let's see if I can find at least one touchdown pass for you guys.
And it is caught by Godwin for the touchdown. Delaney getting his first start today, and he's got an INT and a return to the 39. They've been battered and bruised in that secondary. And now, Tampa Bay taking over at the 39, and there's a completion.
He's doing this without Gronkowski because he's hurt.
He activated this week off the practice squad. Downfield they go, and Godwin has the catch. The backfield. From fake and throw. And it is caught by Godwin for the touchdown. Touchdown pass number 599.
Todd's going to blitz. He just wakes up blitzing, doesn't he, Jim?
Loves it, 2nd and 4. Here's a first down for Chicago. And out of the backfield, Griffin has a catch.
All around the NFL, you see a bunch of young quarterbacks that barely played any college football, and they're stinking up the league right now. And so are the kickers. What the hell is going on with the kicking game in the NFL? All these kickers are missing extra points and 35-yard field goals. What the hell is going on? Here's Tom Brady again. And there it is, folks. 600 touchdown passes. Congratulations, Tom Brady. Now, there's a reason that Tom Brady has 600 touchdown passes. One of it is skill. One of it is playing for a great coach in a great system. Another one is being the benefit of rule changes that greatly enhanced quarterback longevity and the ability for him to throw 45 to 50 passes every game, where during the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, this was unheard of. There were only a couple of guys that were slinging the ball around like that in the 80s. It was like Dan Marino, maybe Jim Kelly. There was a couple other guys, Warren Moon, that was slinging the ball all around the field. John Elway, I'll even say early Brett Favre, there were a few others. But during Joe Montana's, I'm just going to speak of my era of football, starting from the early 80s, early to mid 80s. I watched Joe Montana get killed on a regular basis, because guys could come over the top. They could swap down across him, across his head. They could pull him down damn near by the face mask. They would fall on top of quarter. One of the ways they intimidated quarterbacks in those eras, the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, was not just sacking the quarterback, pulling him down by the waist and twisting him down or grabbing his ankles. No, they would crush the guy. They would grab the quarterback and put their full weight on him, and then 2 or 3 other guys on defense would jump on top, and they might even get credited for a half a sack. So here you got this 210-pound guy being crushed by guys that weigh 250 and above. And this happened on a regular basis, all right, until they started instituting new rules to protect the wide receiver and the quarterback, because they saw higher ratings when the games had high passing numbers. This is what I'm thinking. I believe they did tests with their audience, marketing tests, and they probably figured out somewhere along the way the passing game is way more interesting to the casual fan than the run game. And most NFL teams was based on the run game in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. That's why most of the stars you heard about from that time were running backs. starting with the great Jim Brown, Gale Sayers, Franco Harris, Walter Payton, Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, Eric Dickerson, and so on and so forth. Okay, even down to Marshall Faulk, LaDainian Tomlinson, guys like Christian Okoye, if you remember him from the Chiefs, Sean Alexander from the Seahawks, even down to Kiki Barber from the Giants. The running back was the star for the most part. You had quarterbacks that were stars like Dan Marino, Joe Montana, Steve Young, Warren Moon, Randall Cunningham. And I'm sorry I'm biased toward the 80s, so I'm rattling off these names. Yes, I know about Fran Tarkenton and Terry Bradshaw and Johnny Unitas and of course, the great Joe Namath. But that wasn't my era. My era was Joe Montana, John Elway, Dan Marino, Warren Moon, Randall Cunningham, Jim Kelly, that whole era. Bernie Kosar, Phil Simms, that era. Okay, so I said all that to say, would Tom Brady be a Hall of Fame quarterback without the rule changes? Absolutely. But would he by and far eclipse numbers that Brett Favre put up, Dan Marino put up, Joe Montana put up, all these Warren Moon, where is looking like he's damn near doubling even the second best quarterback ever statistically. He's like he's doubling that. I give Tom Brady the utmost respect and credit for his longevity in this violent game. Even with the rule changes, the game is still violent. And it's worse in certain cases where you have defensive players now because they can't hit the receivers head-to-head anymore. They can't hit above this area. All you see now is defensive players diving at guys' knees and legs, and that's causing a lot more lower body injuries. And I think a lot of guys would rather just take on the shoulder and head hit, get their bell rung a little bit, rather than get their knee hit and to get the MCL or ACL blown out, or the ankle broken or something like that, a horrific hip injury like Bo Jackson suffered. That's another star from the 80s and early 90s who was a running back, Bo Jackson. So, I just wanted to harp on that. Congratulations, Tom Brady. I'm not hating on Tom Brady, but I did have to point out the reason for him being able to compile these astronomical numbers. It wasn't just that he's a great player and he's worked hard and has stayed in the NFL way longer than anybody's and played at this high level way longer than anybody suspected. I mean, he's still making the throws. Regardless of the rule changes, he's still outperforming all the other quarterbacks that are under the same rule changes. So with that being said, congratulations, Tom Brady. Well-deserved. He's going to go down as the greatest quarterback in history without a doubt. It's just nobody else can touch his accomplishments. 7 Super Bowl rings, 600 touchdown passes. There's nothing more to say. And that's it, folks. I think I'm going to keep this live under an hour. Holy smokes. All right, for you guys out there with ADHD, it's under an hour this time. I'd like you to like, share, subscribe. Once again, I'm going to rattle off this shooting guard list. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, Tracy McGrady, Clyde Drexler, Allen Iverson, Reggie Miller, Vince Carter, Mitch Richman, Pistol Pete Maravich, James Harden, Sam Jones, Klay Thompson, David Thompson, John Havlicek, George Gervin, Joe Johnson, Ray Allen, Manu Ginobili, Paul George, Drazen Petrovic, Ron Harper, Reggie Lewis, and Joe Dumas, and Rip Hamilton. All right, this has been Rant Roller Sports. Please help me finish my list. I'm struggling with the 5th spot. Right now, I have Allen Iverson tentatively in the 5th spot. I know a lot of you guys are going to shred me. Oh, he was a ball chuck. Please don't come in with that Skip Bayless narrative. Come with your own original narrative about how you feel about Allen Iverson and go back and watch some tape if you have to. But like I said, this list can interchange. Other than MJ and Kobe at the number 1 and 2 spots, all the rest of the 3 spots, I can't really, if you want to put somebody there, it's hard to argue because this is a highly competitive category. all-time great shooting guards. Thank you for joining me. I spoke about the Women's Lingerie Football League. I spoke about John Morant, the young up-and-coming superstar for the point guard for the Memphis Grizzlies. I spoke about Tom Brady and his 600 touchdowns and his numerous accomplishments, including, once again, surpassing the 600 touchdown mark yesterday. What else did I speak on? I think that's it, folks. So I'm going to leave it here. My mouth is kind of dry here. I got to drink some water. I don't know if it's the shot or I spent an hour doing yard work today, mowing the lawn, well, over an hour, weed whacking and leaf blowing. So I'm kind of parched here. I thank you for tuning in. I want to give a shout out to my boy, Sport Bike Menace. Congratulations for your 700 subscribers. He's probably not going to watch this. He's not in the sports, but I'm going to shout him out anyway. And I appreciate everyone, my regulars that participate in the comment section. I wish you all well. Please like, share, subscribe. Just put a like on it, please. Sub if you're not subbed already. I'm going to bring more content, better content, and be more consistent with the content. As you see, I'm piling up these lives. I'm working for y'all. All right. I'll see you soon. How soon? I'm not sure. You know me. I gotta wait till I feel passionate about something, and then I'll come with it. All right. I appreciate you all. This has been Rant Roller Sports. Peace for the night.